Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we are talking about purchasing orchids without knowing what they are. Pretty much purchasing some no-IDs. There are some reasons why we might want to do that, but is it really a good idea? Yeah, I think it is, but maybe it's not. We're gonna explore that today, and here I have two orchids that I purchased without really knowing how they look like. More so this one that I'm so happy with and I just needed to show it off, but also this one. This is a dendrobium that I purchased from the Netherlands when I went in the Netherlands, and it didn't really have flowers, but I knew that it could be a really pretty dendrobium, and it actually really is. Do you see it? There we go. This is a cattleya that I purchased at a clearance. I paid 10 euros for it. I purchased 4 of them. Nobody knew what they were. They were bare-rooted, and this is the first time it blooms. And I think I found an ID for it, but I was not expecting it to be this. So, as you can see, I'm pretty happy with what I got, but there might be instances where maybe we're not very happy. In the end, you can say it's more of a leap of faith.
Speaking of which, my latest leap of faith is my garden. So that's why all of the classes I watch now on Skillshare are mainly focused on gardening. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of high-quality classes for people who are always eager to learn something new. This is the right place to get inspired and also expand on your existing skills, or just learn new ones and put them to work in your daily life. From photography to drawing, cooking, gardening, and everything in between, there's always something interesting to discover. Now, as you may know, I finally have my very own garden, and it's the season to start thinking and prepping for some veggies. This is my first ever garden, and I have no idea what I'm doing, so learning as much as I can about gardening and the plants that I can grow is essential. I really enjoyed this class presented by Geraldine Levin, a guide for growing and caring for plants. I've learned that planting seeds is not the only way to go about it, as I have done so far with potted plants. And there are many ways to have a sustainable garden. There are various plants and herbs and various ways of keeping them going, especially in a warm climate such as mine, where I don't experience freezing. I've also never gave a thought to storage until now. I'm excited for all of these things that I wasn't even able to dream about for all my life living in small apartments. And this hunger for gardening knowledge just became stronger as we just started harvesting our first fruit from the orange tree. I swear I never ate such good oranges in my life, and I want more. Oranges and other plants. The first 500 of you to use my link in the description and pinned comment will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Nothing to lose, only to gain. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring my video, and thank you guys for supporting the people who support me.
So yeah, what skill did you take a leap of faith for? Because my skill was making orchid videos on YouTube. And that's a skill that I'm keeping, or I keep trying to get better at. But everything new is a leap of faith sometimes, isn't it? Right, so that said, let's get to the video. I have a list, because why wouldn't I? Now, for some clarity, when I say no ID in this scenario, it means we don't even know how the flowers look like. There are orchids out there, especially in flower shops and garden centers, that have absolutely no tag other than orchid or Phalaenopsis or something like that at best, but we don't have like the cultivar name or species or any, not species, cultivar name. Usually we don't have these things on the tags. I'm not referring to that type of no ID. I'm referring to absolutely no identity at all. We don't know who this orchid is because we don't know how she looks like. Is it a good idea? Let's start with the pros of getting no ID orchids. And well, the first pro I'm gonna go with is the one that started my entire YouTube channel, and it's the fact that usually these no ID orchids are cheaper than orchids with an ID. I started my YouTube channel based on purchasing orchids that did not have flowers anymore at the flower shop. They were pushed aside, maybe on a lower bench, maybe on a shelf nobody looks at, and they were not watered, they were dehydrated, they were ignored, they were on the verge of just giving up. That's what I was purchasing because that's what I could afford. And in Romania at the time, almost 12 years ago, yeah, those orchids were as cheap as €2. So I purchased myself all sorts of oncidiums, because usually oncidiums were going bloomless faster than phalaenopsis, and they were getting more and more degraded faster. So I started with those oncidiums, did not know how they look like, did not know what they were, did not necessarily know how to care for them. I kind of learned as I went, but that's a different point we're gonna get to. That's what I was purchasing because that's what I could afford. Once in a blue moon, I would get something with flowers and everything, and it would be this, wonderful celebration. But the vast majority of my collection were unidentified objects, unidentified orchids, UOs, not UFOs, because they weren't flying, but they were unknown orchids to me. And the prices were just so good, I could not pass, because even if I couldn't bring it back to its glory, at least I didn't spend that much on it. But in the vast majority of cases, these orchids actually bounced back really great, and the absolute joy of seeing what they were in the end was beyond words. And that's point number 2, or pro number 2, the actual joy of it. Now, I do understand there might be people who don't really like surprises, or don't really like to grow something they don't know what it is or how it will look like, or if it's worth investing time and money and everything in it. But I am not like that. I usually do enjoy surprises. I don't know. I don't know why. I enjoy surprises. Sometimes, yes, maybe they're not good surprises at the end, or sometimes they're doubles. But it's okay. It's like the journey of just seeing an orchid go through these stages of not being so healthy, or, not flourishing, to actually blooming is fun as it is. But when you get the bloom, especially when you don't know what it is, and it's like, that's what you were all along. I don't know, it tickles me. I really like it. So for those people who do enjoy these surprises, the unidentified orchids, the no IDs, are the perfect way to save money first, and also get not only a wonderful orchid, but the experience of having this anticipation, and especially when you see the buds and the flower spike develop for a month and a half, you're gonna be so giddy. It's gonna be like Christmas. Better, much better. You're gonna be so giddy about it that I don't know if you can put a price on that. It's just so rewarding and so wonderful. That's one of the reasons why I purchased these cattleyas. Do you remember the video where I got 4 cattleyas, bare rooted, no IDs, nobody knew what they were. They were 10 euros each. Good price on these cattleyas. I purchased them all, hoping they're not doubles. But I'm so happy with the first one that bloomed, because she's so fragrant. She's wonderful. And the flowers, can we see? She's as big as my face. So the joy of, having this is unpriceable. You cannot put a price on it. It's one of the things I love most with orchids, and sometimes I do this. I just buy no ID hybrids, no ID things, because I love the surprise. But yes, there is a chance you won't like the surprise. However, you can skip the bad surprise part if you purchase some no ID orchids, such as Tolumnias. We recently spoke about Tolumnias. There were some Tolumnias that I purchased as no IDs, and the journey of discovering them was wonderful. And even though I had some maybe were doubles, they were not identical, so that was good enough for me. And Tolumnias can do that. Sometimes you get some Tolumnias that are the same variety, but they look slightly different. And even if you have doubles, it's fine, because they're different enough to make you keep both of them, and they're small enough as well, and they're cheap enough as well. I bought a Tolumnia, I think, or was it a cattleya? There are some tiny cattleyas that I bought for 3 euros or 4 euros. They're no IDs, we don't know what they are, but for 4 euros, whatever it is good. With Tolumnias, it's even more so good, because there is no such thing as a bad looking Tolumnia, and also there is quite a degree of variability between them to make it worth it, even if you get doubles. So that's yet another positive. If somebody would sell, listen to me besties, if somebody would sell Tolumnias for 1 euro, even if they're sick, even if they're dehydrated, even if no IDs, nothing, I would buy, how much I can afford now, 20 maybe. Anyway, I could afford 50. I would buy 50 of them. I would, absolutely, because the reward is so strong with those orchids. And not only, Cattleyas, I think, are in the same group, because Cattleyas can also be fragrant. They can also be different between them a little bit. There are so many varieties of Cattleyas that, you know, the chances of getting doubles, not so big. With Phalaenopsis, not so many Phalaenopsis polychilus, let's say. And also the Phalaenopsis hybrids, yeah, there are many of them, but we kind of have all of them already. Whites, yellow, oranges, reds, you know, what more variety? Or I at least see the limit more with Phalaenopsis, but Cattleyas, Tolumnias, they're limitless. So I'm much more inclined to purchase NoIDs from these orchids. Another pro, and this again, I'm gonna go back to the beginnings of my channel. Usually when you purchase unknown orchids from the flower shops that are discounted, no flowers, no nothing, you don't know what they are, usually they will not be in good condition either. So you will have to go through the journey of rehabilitating them. And that journey teaches you so many things in such a short time. That's why my channel grew or became so full of information, because I had to save those orchids. I had to find ways, I had to discover them, and I made videos about what I was doing and what was happening and so on. So in 2 years, I learned more about orchids than people learn in 10, honestly, just because I put myself through it. I had no choice. I had to purchase sick, dehydrated, full of snails orchids, and I had to learn. Otherwise, they would die, and I didn't want them to die. So it's not necessarily a trait of unknown orchids, but it's a byproduct of orchids not having flowers anymore at the flower shop, sadly. They are ignored, they are neglected, they are in a bad shape. And purchasing them and caring for them and rehabilitating them, it will give you a world of knowledge. A world of knowledge. I would not have this journey any other way. I would not pick the best looking orchids, the healthiest looking orchids, if I had to do it again. No, I would pick the more stressed ones, just because, you know, I want to learn fast. So look at it that way. If you don't have the budget for fully mature, bloomed orchids and stuff, it's not a disadvantage to you, because you will learn so much more than everybody else. Everybody else. And that's what happened to me. That's why my channel grew more than everybody else at the time, because I put myself through the ringer. Right. It's not a bad thing. It really isn't. And the joy you get from saving something, it's incredible. You get so attached to these orchids, and yeah, it's wonderful. Now, let's talk about some cons as well. So first off, in the case that you get something discounted and in very poor condition, there are higher chances of you not saving it. Yeah, especially if you're at the beginning. There were some orchids that I couldn't save, that I didn't know what was wrong with, that were more long gone than I thought. Maybe some hybrids that were not really appropriate for my climate or my area. And I'm looking at Nelly Eilers and Miltoniopsis. So yeah, there is always this chance, absolutely. The more stressed an orchid is, the more sensitive it is. And yes, it will teach you a lot, but you are also more at a risk of losing that orchid. I'm not saying that if you buy a super healthy orchid, you're not gonna have issues. Sometimes things happen, but if it's already stressed, you're in for issues. It is, the flip of the coin. Yes, it will teach you a lot, but it might also die. So if you're okay with this thought, then great. If you're not, absolutely, maybe this is not what you should do. Maybe this is not for you. If you're gonna get super affected by losing these orchids, don't put yourself through it, So think about how you are and what you want. But that's definitely one of the cons of buying unknown orchids that have been neglected at the flower shop. Now, if you're buying orchids that are in good condition, but they're just, no IDs, you're probably not gonna go through it. You're gonna have a perfectly healthy orchid, because orchids that don't have flowers anymore, they're not sick, they're just unblooming. They're done for the day, they're going home, relaxing, and growing leaves and other things that are more important than blooms, to be honest. When they bloom, maybe you will not like the orchid. Maybe it will bother you. Maybe it will have a fragrance you don't like, or you will be sensitive to. Maybe it's gonna be a color that you have 10 more orchids of the same color or similar colors. I'm lucky I don't have many white Cattleyas like this. I'm so lucky. So I'm hoping the other 3 are not like this, but anyway, the joy is still there. But you can find that you have either similar orchids, and there's a video from the lovely grower in Australia. I'm so sorry, I'm not good with names. I forgot the name. Orchid Lover, something. He just made a video about 2 cattleyas that he's been growing for a while that ended up looking very, very, very similar. Yeah, it's a disappointment. I can see that, especially if you don't have a lot of space at your disposal. So that's another con. You can get doubles, you can get orchids that look very similar, and you're gonna have to choose between one or the other to conserve space sometimes, maybe. But it's easily solved. You just gift one to a friend, you know? But still, you can lose money, I guess, on it and be a little disappointed if you get doubles. It's a con you have to consider. Also, you will need patience. These orchids will force you to have patience, especially if they're not very established, if they're not actually in good condition. They might make you wait 2 years until you see the bloom. At least when you buy an orchid that already has blooms, you take some photos. When you forget how it looks like, you look at the photos, you have something to hang on to, right? But if you don't even have a photo, it's just like, frustrating. It's not so much for me because I get distracted with other stuff, but if you don't have other orchids to get distracted with, you know, you have a bunch of no IDs, you don't even know why you grow them, you don't even know if you like them, you have to be patient, and sometimes orchids can test your patience so much, more than anything, really, that maybe you collect, let's say, maybe more than any other hobby. And one last idea that I have here written down, if it just so happens that your orchid dies off, you don't even know what you lost. You don't even know what to look out for. You know, you don't even know if, okay, do I have a double, do I not? What did I lose? What exactly happened? It could be a good thing if you don't know what you lost, you know, maybe you're not going to be heartbroken. Although it's a plant, and it's never nice to lose plants, but at least you're not going to be like, oh, remember that cattleya with the beautiful fragrance and the huge white flower, I lost it. If you don't know how it looked like, maybe it's a good thing that you don't know. But typically I want to know what I lost. So I want to know what I put back in my wish list, or I just, even if I didn't like, or it's hard for me not to like an orchid, but there are orchids that I don't like. But I want to experience it. I want to know if I like that orchid. I could see pictures on the internet, but then when I smell it, it's like, oh, this smells like horse manure. I had the, what was it, Prosticchia? Yeah, Prosticchia or Encyclia green hornet. I had it a long time ago. It smelled like a horse stable. Not my thing, really. I liked the photos on the internet. I liked the flower, but the fragrance, oh boy, no. So, you know, there could be that. Whereas when you purchase an orchid in bloom, if you find it in bloom, or at least you know how it looks like, there are more chances of you liking the orchid, right? But I don't know. How do you feel about these things? How do you feel generally about taking a leap of faith and just buying orchids you know nothing about? No IDs, maybe orchids that are not in good condition, cheaper orchids, discounted orchids. As I was saying, for I'll tell you, like, to end the video in a funny note. I actually dreamed about this. There are 2 dreams that I have. One, clearances, it never happens. Like clearance on, I don't know, Tolumnia hybrids that have no name. There are some Tolumnias here that we didn't sell because we lost tags, and there's a whole bunch of them. They don't look spectacular, but we're gonna sell them for €1, €2, I don't know. Clearance, I'm buying all of them. I just they're so small, I can find space in my bed for them. That's one of my dreams, one of my absolute dreams. I didn't dream about it, but there is one that I dreamt about it. Maybe now, realistically, I can't do it anymore, but I remember dreaming about this like for a few years. I had a dream once that a nursery or a grower or something decided that they don't want their collection anymore, and they decided to just all of a sudden ship it to me because, I don't know, they saw me on the internet, and I was about to receive like this huge collection of orchids, and I had to like invent some space for it, and I dreamed about it, And in the dream, I was asking my husband, okay, where do we put them? And we were coming up with ideas to put them and give them like proper conditions. And I was debating, wait, I don't know what they are. I don't know if I can have good conditions for them. And they're arriving in the post like this week. The excitement, you guys. I dreamt this. Is that lame? Anyway, so yeah, the excitement of not even knowing what orchids are, what orchids they are, it's still excitement for me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know why I like the idea so much. But yeah, those are the two dreams that I have. The Tolumnia dream, doable. Doable, if anybody wants to do a clearance. Anyway, but the other stuff, like somebody giving me an like inheritance of like orchids, where am I even gonna put them, you know? Maybe not, but it was a dream of mine at some point, as I think we all do. Tell me about your dreams down below in the comment section, and how do you feel about NoID Orchids? Righty, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today and listening to my like dream stories and stuff. Yeah, and I hope you have a great time with your orchids, no matter if they have IDs or no IDs or stuff. In the end, for me, and I guess for most of you at least, the joy of growing orchids is just seeing them grow, seeing them bloom. It's not about choosing necessarily the most prestigious hybrids or species and stuff. It's just the joy of growing them, isn't it? That's what it is for me. Right, so with that said, thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video and taking a leap of faith with me. And I hope you'll have a great time. Bye!